You are listening to the CittaCalcioUsa show, the only news and podcast in English about AS Cittadella. Hello everyone, welcome back to the CittaCalcioUsa show, episode number 139, coming to you on Thursday, August 29th. This was supposed to be the first live show of CittaCalcioUsa, really. If you were here at the right time, at the right place, we started streaming about 5 minutes on YouTube, and then we quickly discarded it because it wasn't really going so well. So we will probably try again in the near future, but for now, it's just going to be videoless, so only the audio for this. But anyway, an away win for Cittadella last weekend against Brescia. 1-0, Lorenzo Cardisoni getting the goal. And then this last Tuesday, a draw against Pisa in the home opener. Or is it? Because there has been reports today that Pisa is appealing the match result as Cittadella allegedly fielded an ineligible player during the game. So we have some things to talk about in this episode, as always. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at CittaCalcioUsa and visit our website at CittaCalcioUsa.com for more information, news, articles, all that stuff. You will find it there. Once again, apologies for no live show. I really want to do it. I just need to be more familiar with it because luckily I don't think anyone was watching that first one that I was doing a few minutes ago because it didn't go great, and I'm still learning all the buttons. So until we figure that out, we're just going to stick to this. But apologies if you were looking forward to it, but I'll try to get it going again. But moving on to the game a little bit, Brescia, we talked about a difficult team to play. They had beaten Palermo and Venezia at home in front of their crowd at the Stadio Mario Rigamonti, and this was a difficult game for Cittadella. Going off of where they had against Salernitana, this was a game where, they needed something for it. Going into that home opener, they did not want to be going 0 wins, 2 losses going into that game against Pisa, because as you know, Pisa, we talked about, was a very strong team under Pippo Inzaghi. This was definitely a much-needed result, and considering it was a win, considering it was against 10 men, I think that is, it checks all the boxes on what was needed for that game. But Cittadella did go down to 10 men for majority of that second half, as Nicola Pavan received a second yellow card for his challenge. I'm not really going to get into what he did because, we could talk about that all podcast if we want to. But, personally, I don't think that was right to send him off. I think it was a soft yellow card for his challenge. But, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because Cittadella ended up showing character and getting the 3 points. Lorenzo Cardisoni scoring in the 63rd minute to put Cittadella 1-0 up, his first goal of the season. It was really a game of, I say Cittadella did get a little fortunate because Brescia did hit the post at least once, if I recall. It's been, it hasn't even been a week since that game, and still so much has happened in this Cittadella world. That's basically the life of a, sports reporter, sports journalist. So much could happen in less than a week, and not everything sticks in my brain. But basically, Brescia did have a lot of chances to score. They did end up scoring in the 92nd minute, in the second minute of stoppage time on a goal, but it was ruled out for VAR offside. So definitely, I think Cittadella did get their fortunes in this game. But, I think maybe that's what Cittadella was needed in this run, because they were winning up until the 93rd minute in Salerno, and they ended up walking away with 0 points. They were playing a decent game against Sassuolo, and they still ended up losing. So maybe this was something that was needed because things weren't going so right, and they just needed that little bit of boost to get their season going quickly. And I will say that I was saying this after the game, but I'm finally have the podcast now, so I could finally say it to everyone that this was a game where it was very important that Cittadella did not concede late on again, because if they had conceded, if that VAR call stood, if Bianchi was not offside, which he was, but if he was onside in that case, and if VAR did not call that back, Cittadella would have lost 5 points in the first two games from a winning position deep into stoppage time. Now, even though that is the second match day and things could definitely change throughout the course of the season, that would not have been a good way to start the year and to really set the tone, set the theme for this year. Because if they had conceded late again, you just start to think that it could have became a trend throughout the season. Because if Cittadella are winning later on in the game, or even a draw, for example, in that Pisa game, there was 1-1 going into the final minutes, then all of a sudden that creeping doubt becomes part of the mindset. And, they start to get a little wary and start to get, a bit nervous that it could be happening again. They could drop more points in stoppage time once again. So getting that break and, closing it out with 10 men against a difficult team in a difficult stadium, I think definitely that was very, very good win. And not an easy place to play once again, and getting 3 points with 10 men, taking their chances kind of out of nothing, definitely I think was important. But definitely most important not to concede late, because you did not want that to become a trend and to not become something that we see more and more often, because the more that happens, the more times you see it, the more points you drop, and all of a sudden you're in the relegation zone. So it is only 3 match days in, so they could start to do this once again. But getting that, especially the second game after what had happened in the weekend prior in Salerno, I think was very important. One more thing I'll say about this game is Casolari once again playing very, very good in the center mid role as kind of like as a regista, and as that number 6 holding anchor spot. I think he played very, very good, and I'm really excited to see what he can do this season, and I think he's going to be a very important player. Definitely shown his worth. He's definitely shown why he deserves to be a starter. And this could also be good because Branca could also play a little bit higher upfield, kind of like how he was playing under Venturato in the years prior. I think this is definitely a good sign, and definitely with him and then Vita on the other side, definitely you start to see that this midfield, I think, is going to be really good for the Granata this season. But moving on to this Pisa game on Tuesday, and this is kind of what's drawing all the attention right now, as actually news came out today on Thursday about, what I'm about to talk about right now. But anyway, I can't say much about this game in terms of how Cittadella played, how Pisa played, because I didn't watch most of the game. I only was able to catch the last 20 minutes or so. Midweek games are never good for me. They never tend to work out. It's, definitely, I can never really make it on midweek games. So in this case was no different. I didn't watch most of the game, but according to what I've been hearing, people have been saying Cittadella had played very good in that game against, once again, another good team. 4 points from 3 games. That's where Cittadella had in the last season and then the previous season. So in Gorini's 3 last seasons, they've all had 4 points. So still don't know where to go from here. But anyway, the big storyline is obviously Pisa appealing for this result to be overturned and be awarded as a 3-0 win for Pisa, as they are saying that Cittadella fielded an illegal player, which was De Sogus. The reason was De Sogus did not appear in the official match sheet before the game, even though he should have been, because there was no sign of him being injured or being suspended, whatnot. De Sogus should have been there, but apparently he was not. And he did get substituted. He played about 20 minutes of the second half. So this is where Pisa is standing. That look, they are playing a player that was not on the match list, even though he may have been intended to. Doesn't matter. This is what we're appealing, and should get a 3-0 win. And this would definitely be very bad for Cittadella because you worked hard to get this point. You worked hard to get this result, and it could be all blown away in just a matter of like that. It's definitely, I wouldn't say I'm very, very confident about this issue. We still don't know much about what really is going on. Disogus did not appear once again on the squad list. He entered in the 71st minute. Was he meant to be there? We still don't know. As far as I could have told from the pre-match, from what I've been seeing, is that Disogus was supposed to be playing. He had played in the previous 3 games, if you include the Coppa Italia, and this was very strange. This was very interesting that he did not appear. It could have been just a mistake by the team manager or whoever makes these official squad list. They may have they accidentally added him and then had to quickly readjust it. And there was some people also saying, I can't remember where, but they were saying, like, look, Disogus was supposed to be there. They had to fill him in at the last minute, and they did end up telling the referees and the officials that this change was made, so no problems were made. But obviously, that was not the case in the in the online match sheet and whatnot, because it had already been published. So this is where we stand right now. 2 ways this could go is that Lega B could just ignore it because it had no effect on the outcome. Disogus didn't score, he didn't assist, he didn't do whatever. The score was 1-1 when he came in. The score was 1-1 when the game ended. So that's one scenario where they could just leave it. They just say it was just a mistake, or Cittadella ended up accidentally putting down a name that shouldn't have been there, and then they got confirmation that they did go up before the match and say the Soga should have been there. Then the other way this could happen is they could say the rules are the rules. Disogus wasn't on the match list, and they fielded him, and that is automatically a 3-0 win for Pisa. So this is definitely a very interesting situation. Lega B did not officially count this on their official match reporting. Usually the day after, they list all the players on yellow cards, on for whatnot, any fines, and they did not officially put this down as a result, as a 1-1 draw. It is still under investigation. Cittadella did come out with a press release today, a comunicato stampa. I can't really read it all entirety right now because it also is in Italian, and it would be you could just read it on your own time, and because it would just take too long for me to read and then translate. But basically, it says that they're basically denying the wrong beans, and it was just a mistake, and that if Pisa do continue with this case, they will defend their rights. So I don't know where this is going to go from now. I guess we'll find out in the next few days. It could be tomorrow. It could be next week. One thing I hope that this doesn't happen is just it drags on for months and months. And I know people will say it's just 3 points. It's just 1 point that Cittadella gained, but this has a big implication on a lot of things. Whether Cittadella is fighting for playoffs or fighting for relegation, whether Pisa is fighting in the playoffs, 3 points can make a huge difference. And if you remember from last season, Cittadella only avoided relegation by 3 points. As good as their season was, as good as, beneficial and how many good results they had, they did only scrape relegation by 3 points at the end. So this could definitely shape the season, but hopefully it won't. And we will have to see on that. Another big bombshell that came out today was Cosenza has been docked 4 points for financial issues. So those 4 points that they got in the season, the draw against Spezia and then the win against Cremonese, that has all been erased, and they have to start from zero on 20th place. So definitely not a good day for the quote unquote smaller clubs in Serie B, as Cittadella and Cosenza, historically the underdogs, historically the overachievers in this league. Not a good day to be a part of any of those clubs. So we'll keep you updated on this case, and hopefully it won't get much more into this. But yeah, we'll have to see. More news that came out today was Eduardo Sotini to Spal. It is official, 3-year contract for the defender. Sotini joining last season. He didn't make many appearances. He didn't play many games. He did play in the last match against Pisa, and he actually just under hit a ball that eventually led to the goal from Pisa. But Sotini to Spal in Serie C. He's probably going to be getting much more playing time. But this really leads us to the next point is, according to Gianluca Di Marzo, Stefano Piccinini, another young center back, the deal should be done tomorrow and he should be announced soon as the transfer market closes. 21-year-old center back from Sassuolo. He was on loan at Pergoletese and also for Vis Pesaro in Serie C. He made a lot of appearances for them. So I think this could also be a backup for him as well, because, in the last match, we did see a little bit of a center back shortage with Pavan suspended, Stefano Negro still dealing with an injury, and you also got Frare, who left for Tristina last week, like we talked about, and now you got Sotini leaving. So this puts Cittadella kind of at a shortage of center backs, as they have Angeli, Stefano Negro. He's still recovering, and then you got Pavan, who should be available back for Modena this weekend. And now accordingly to reports, you have Stefano Piccinini, another young center back, kind of like we've been talking about for the last month now, that Marchetti is trying to rebuild this young core, young talent that Cittadella has that could be built on for the next few years. So I think that's why you've been seeing a lot of these young signings that have been playing in Serie C that has some experience, like Angeli, like Casolari, like D'Alessio, even though he hasn't played yet, like Tronkin, even though once again he hasn't played yet, but we should be seeing those players soon. Moving on, last thing I want to touch upon is, once again, the match this weekend against Modena. Stadio Alberto Braglia, Saturday, August 31st at 8:30 p.m. Central European Time. That's at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Modena with the same record as Cittadella, a 1-1-1, 4 points from their opening 3 games. They are always a difficult team to play when you're playing Piero Paolo Bisoli. We saw it with his Südtirol teams, very compact, very hard to break down. I haven't seen much of Modena this year. They did get the win against Bari last weekend, and then during the week they got a 1-1 draw against Frosinone, De Frel scoring in the 93rd minute. But, like I said, they have some pretty good players. You got De Frel, like I just said. I think the big pickup was Pedro Mendes from Ascoli. He was a good goal scorer. They have him. Palumbo is up there. Then, Zardo, Gagno in the back. So still a very, very good team, and you definitely expect Modena to at least finish mid-table this season. So that's kind of, I don't have much else to say because I mostly wanted to talk about this Pisa and Brescia games. But like I said, this game is on Saturday, August 31st, 8:30 p.m. Against Modena. And then it's the international break. Keep an eye out on, because Albania should be releasing their call-up soon. And if things align like they did in the past, Elan Castrati should be getting another call-up to the Albanian national team. They do play as in the Nations League this round, as they play Ukraine and Georgia in the September window. So keep an eye out on that for Albania's team. You could also possibly keep an eye out on the Italy under national teams Cassano usually makes it. Maybe we'll see Casolari. He's been playing really well. And yeah, before we get to the end of this show, I want to read you some of the results of match day 3 and 2. Remember, we have a show completely dedicated to Serie B. It is Speaking Serie B with Elia the Italian Guy. It is on both of our channels, the Elia the Italian Guy and CittaCalcioUsa on YouTube. We have a weekly show talking about the games, previewing, recapping all the games, all the action in Serie B. So go check that out. But, Cittadella getting the result against Brescia 1-0. Then you got the 1-1 against Pisa. Well, according on the field, it is 1-1. We still don't know what's going to happen off the field. Bari getting their first point of the season, 1-1 against Sassuolo, scoring very late on. Cremonese Palermo getting their first win of the season in Cremona. Frosinone still a bit of a slow start. They are still one of 4 teams without a win so far this season. Can we just talk about that bottom of the table? Yes, 20th Cosenza, because they got penalized 4 points, so they currently have 0 technically. But Bari 19th, 18th Sampdoria, 17th Catanzaro, 16th Frosinone, 15th Palermo, even 14th and 13th Brescia and Cremonese. This is, I think, really the magic of Serie B, as, anything could really happen as of now. And, you see Bari down there, you see Sampdoria down there. Frosinone is a team that, we expected to be very good and be fighting for top 2 this season, starting out pretty slow. And that's something to definitely keep an eye out on. Like we saw with Spezia last year, and definitely with other teams in the years past, just being relegated from Serie A to Serie B, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a good season the following season. You've seen it. There's been multiple examples in the past. It's not like, I'd say the Premier League, where these teams that go down from the Premier League because of the huge financial gap, they are all almost guaranteed to go right back up. And then it's just the same old cycle. You've seen it. I think in Italy it's much different. I think there's a lot more, jeopardy in this league, and it's really the beauty of Serie B in this case. But Cittadella sitting in 11th place with 4 points. Modena just above them in 10th place with 4 points. You got the Reggiana in first place, Juve Stabia in second, both on 7 points. Cesena in third, Salernitana fourth. Very interesting table, even though it's only been 3 match days. Some very, very interesting standings, and expect all this to change because it definitely is. And even this weekend on match day 4, the table is going to change. But once again, Modena against Cittadella on 8:30 p.m. European time. That is 2:30 p.m. Eastern time in the United States. 31st of August on Saturday, Stadio Alberto Braglia. Watch for live updates and visit our website at CittaCalcioUsa.com for post-match, pre-match articles, Guarini's press conference, all that stuff at CittaCalcioUsa.com. And follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at CittaCalcioUsa for graphics, news, all up to date on AS Cittadella. That is going to be it for me today. Cittadella getting a point against Pisa, which we still don't know if that's going to be official, but we do know that it is an official win in Brescia, 1-0, and going into this final game of August, final game before the September international break against Modena. That's going to be it for me today. I will try to get the live stream going soon. No promises, but I'll try my best to get that going, and I'll let you know when that's available. For me, thank you for listening to this episode. I will see you next week, and as always, Forza Citta. Thank you for listening to the CittaCalcioUsa show. If you liked it, please share and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at CittaCalcioUsa. See you next time, and remember, Forza Citta.